There we go. So I'm going to kick our meeting off by starting us with the pledge. And Bill, do you want to do the invocation, or Bob? You haven't been around for a while. Which one of you wants to take the lead on that once we do the pledge? Don't all jump at once.
Bill has more experience.
All right, Bill, you've been voluntold.
I probably need it more than anybody else here. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to go through the pledge. If y'all want to speak along with me, I'm not going to put it up on my screen. I think you probably mostly know the words for it. So if everybody will put their hands on their hearts. Thank you for being here. And I pledge allegiance
To the
flag of the United States of America
and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Last week, Bill asked me to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and I said the four-way test, so I was really impressed.
So note to self, don't ask Bruce to lead.
okay. I could have let him slide, but I just couldn't. Let's go ahead and pray.
Please don't.
All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for your love for us, your goodness to us, the beauty of the day that we've enjoyed. Thank you for strength in times of stress. Thank you for peace in times of adversity. Thank you for your hope and love in a world that sometimes seems hopeless. I pray, Father, that you'll especially strengthen Jeff and his family as his mother-in-law is living with them now in a difficult situation for their family. I pray that your peace and the peace that passes understanding will watch over the whole family and that whole household. I pray, Father, that you would minister to each of us and show us ways to think outside of the box and be creative so that we can be a part of what you're doing in the world and that we can continue to serve others above self. Thank you for what you did for us with Jesus serving above himself and allowing us the opportunity to be your children. Forgive us where we sin against you. Bless us tonight, we pray, in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Well done. So tonight we are fortunate enough to have Mr. Jeff Peacock with the ARC here in Dothan. Jeff has a really incredibly great organization helping individuals who've experienced homelessness and addiction. And I am going to turn the floor over to him to introduce himself and then talk some about the ARC. Jeff, is there anything that you need to show? Because I can pass the ownership over. If you're just going to talk, then that's fine.
Well, I do have a little PowerPoint that I can walk through in a video I wanted to show toward the end. So I can do that or whatever. I don't have to have it or I can, whichever.
No, happy to do it. I'm going to make you the host and that'll allow you to share your screen. And then there at the end, if you'll just pass that back over.
Okay.
I'm going to make you a co-host. Let's see if we can do it
There
that
you go.
way. And then we'll see if you have the option to share your screen and do that successfully, and we'll work it out.
All right. So I'm going to try to get this screen sharing here. We'll see if this will work. And can you see it here?
All it says right now is Zoom user.
All right. Is that showing anything?
It just says Zoom user.
Okay.
The black screen.
All right. So let me see if I can get this thing working.
Do you have a dual monitor or just one?
No, just one. Let's see.
Do an Alt tab and see if it shows you something else.
Switch to gallery view, switch to camera. Let's see. I just want to screen. Let's try that. Let's see. Okay.
Jeff, do you want to try to shoot it back to me from that email? If it's not too large to go through, I might be able to display it.
Okay.
And you can talk while I'm trying to make it work.
All right. Let's see if
it's crying baby in the background.
Is that working now?
One sec. Let me take. Just says, it still says Zoom user, and then you're back on screen.
So you can't see nothing. Okay.
No.
Well, doggone.
Well, Jeff, click on alternate tab and see if you've got it hidden somewhere.
Okay. I'm just trying to get up here. All right, alternate.
Just hold it down and see what pops up on your screen. You should see everything that you got open.
Well, I'm doing it from my iPad. I've shared stuff before. Start video.
Okay.
All
Since
right.
it's on, let Carla do it.
All
Yeah, just,
right.
can you shoot it
I
over
don't
via
think
email?
I don't think iPad lets you share your screen. I think you have to do it from a computer.
Okay. All right. So give me 1 second and I'll just shoot this over if I can. We'll just send copy. All right. What's that email?
It's the one that I just sent to you for that link. If you want to just hit a return on that, it might be the easiest way to
Okay.
do it.
All right. Let's see. All right.
We'll see if it comes through. And in
Hold
the
on.
interim,
Give me 1 second.
Well, I got 30 seconds worth of commercials if you want me to do that real quick.
There you go. There
let's
you
do
go.
it.
Yeah.
Let's
I
do
just
it.
want to remind our group that our district mid-year again is January 21 and 22 will be held in Dothan, and we'd love for some of you guys to sign up and show up. Annual conference is going to again be in the end of April, 1st of May next year. We have 3 Rotary days, 3 in services. In February, they'll be in 3 different locations. I'll give you more on that later. Our Tuskegee project, our statue is almost ready to ship. So we've got to raise some more money for the work that's got to be done here. And please go to our new website, www.district6880.org, and check it out and give me some feedback if you don't mind. Okay. That's it, 30 seconds.
30 seconds. You did all of that in 30 seconds. I'm trying to bring up my other mail to see if it popped up over there.
Did it send? May have been
I'm
too
not
big. If not, I don't have to have it. I can go through it. It's fine.
All right. Well, feel free to talk, and if it comes in,
All right.
I will put it up, and
Okay.
we'll just go from there.
All right. So just tell you a little bit about the ARC. I've been at the ARC. Can y'all see me still?
No.
You're back on Zoom, user.
Gracious.
You
Okay.
show up every once in a while, and then
Okay. Let's
it
see.
shows up. Yeah.
All right. How about that?
There you go.
There you
All
go.
right. So
We got it.
all right. So the ARC, we help a lot of people transition out of homelessness, out of addiction, and out of incarceration. Right now, we have about 45 men and women in our program, about 14 women, about 25, 26 men. So I started in 2016, and we've grown tremendously since then. Our funding comes basically from 3 primary sources. One is donations and sales to our thrift stores. It's about 45% of our revenue. The other 60% comes from like program fees, and it comes from donations and grants. Okay. So that's kind of how we fund our ministry. Our primary, goal is, because we are faith-based, is to, share the love of Christ. And everything we teach is based on Christian fundamentals. And so that's what that's our worldview. It's a biblical worldview. But we don't, not allow people to come in our program because they don't share that same worldview. We have a lot of people come in our program that are atheists. We have a lot of people. We had a guy come in our program a few years ago. He's a Muslim. He left a Muslim. He stayed in our program, completed program for a year, and we helped him. He is now married. He has children, And so we were able to help the guys. So, so even, if, the principles we teach are transcend, they transcend, different religions. They're great. It's great wisdom, great tools, but we're all about Jesus. That's what we do promote, because it works. That's what we believe ultimately is going to help and heal. So we have a process in which we come through. We have, when people come into our program, and I want to speak because a lot of people ask us about how COVID, and then I'll get into program, how COVID has affected us, and it's unique. In some ways, it has hurt us. In some ways, we've seen some benefit. With COVID, when we had COVID, we had about 50 men in our program. After COVID, we got down to 9 men. It really affected our numbers. At one point, we're now back up to 25. So we're running about half of what we were pre-COVID. And so, how does that, impact us? Well, it did have a pretty large negative impact because we have program, about third of our revenue is program based. So when people come to the Ark, we pay for their room, their board, their clothing. We help with medications and that type thing. We have a lot of partnerships. We partner with Samaritan Clinic, Love in Action, the Harbor, Dothan Rescue Mission. If we need to house someone temporarily, we can call them, because we're a 12-month program. So we're not temporary housing. We are transitional housing. We want to transition someone, off the streets, out of prison, out of addiction, into, self-sustaining citizens. And so we have a lot of partnerships where we partner with different organizations. So we pay for everything while for the first 4 to 6 months. And once they graduate that 4 to 6 months, we help them get a employment. We help them gain employment. We have 100, since 2016, we have 100% hire rate for all eligible men and women that have went through our program. And right now it's really easy to get good jobs because everybody's hiring. So that's good. It's probably the best opportunities. Our people have the best opportunities right now. But once they get a job, once they have employment, then they start paying what we call program fees, which is $432 a month. That pays for their food, that pays for their room, board, internet, whatever that they need. We move them out of a dorm into a private room, or in our women's case, semi-private rooms. They have roommates because our facility for the women's a lot smaller. And so when COVID hit and we had 50 people, and then we went to 25, well, you can imagine all the ones that left were what we call our tier 2 people. And the reason a lot of them left was because we had to place so many restrictions on them. And so that ended up costing us right around $10,000 a month in revenue that we have not gained, but we're getting back up to our numbers growing. So that was probably one of the biggest impacts of COVID. However, one of the positives that we've had and what we've seen is that we've had more baptisms this year than we've ever had. We've had 20, and out of 40, 50 people, that's really good. If you run a church and you have 50 people and half of them get baptized, it's pretty big. But we've had more GEDs, more driver's license. We've had last year the average. I'm trying to think of the word. The average stay was 74% of our people stayed in the program last year. I don't know the numbers for this year, which is about double what it normally is. And so what we're finding with COVID is the people who are in our program are people who really want to be in our program. It's not people who are made, to come there because they've got to, fulfill this court obligation or because of, this or that. They're actually people who want to be there. And so we're seeing a lot greater results from those, from those residents. So it's pretty cool. So we, with COVID, we've had some negatives, but we've had some great positives too. We're getting, I think, maybe, I don't want to sound in a negative way, but a better quality resident, better quality candidates, because they really want to be there. So that's been a real positive thing. Now with our program, we basically, to get in our program, anybody can apply. We don't, the only people that we can't house is sexual offenders. We have a daycare right across the alley from our facility, so we can't house sexual offenders, but basically anybody else can apply. And we go through a 3-interview process where the first thing we do is we do like a psychosocial assessment to make sure that the candidate, is not beyond our scope of care, because we're not a mental health provider. Okay. And so if they've got some issues that require mental health professionals, then they're not for the ARC. Now, not saying that if someone has mental health issues, because a lot of our residents do, but they have to be under a doctor's care. They have to be on their medications and that type thing. So we can help people, that doesn't eliminate people, but it does, we're not a mental health care provider. We're looking for candidates. 90% of our people, we have about 10%, maybe 7% that may be on disability. But generally, we're looking for people that at the end of 4 to 6 months, when they finish their class, we're going to be able to get them a job, and they're going to be able to start working toward, life goals. So anyway, so we have that assessment. Then we also do a drug, alcohol, and background check. And so we don't allow anyone in our program that has open warrants, because if you have an open warrant, that means you're running from something and you're not ready for a life change. So if you have an open warrant, you can go turn yourself in. They'll give you a court date, and we will then accept you in. But we're not, we want people who are serious about having a life change. We try to stay away from people that have open pending court cases, but that's just a case by case basis. If we have someone that's, looking at an escape charge and they're going to get 10 years or whatever, they're not a good candidate, because they're going to jail probably. So, but if it's, theft, or if it's, drug related, a lot of times we can bring them in and we can help them. The third thing is just an overall interview, just to see if they're a good candidate. These interviews will take about 2 hours. We take intakes, men on Wednesday morning, women on Wednesday afternoon. So if you know of anybody that may need our services, they can come to the ARC on Wednesday morning if they're a male at 8 o'clock, and we will just tell them to plan to be there. They can fill out the application, and then we can take them through the interview process. If you know someone who's in an emergency, and we're not temporary housing, so we would send them to the rescue mission if they were in search of emergency housing. But if there's someone that's, made a decision, say, hey, I want to get off drugs, I made up my mind, I'm homeless and I need a place to stay, I'm ready to commit my life, we could make an exception and bring them in any day of the week, based on their situation. And then when we do the drug test, drugs do not, if somebody tests positive, that doesn't eliminate them from the opportunity to come in our program. But there are certain drugs, drugs that if they test positive for, we may, refer them for a medical, they may be referred for medical detox or something like that. But generally, we can bring those folks in, and, if we have to refer them after they detox, we can bring them in the program and, start the process. So the process, once they are in the program, we take them through, again, it's a 4 to 6 month class where we really teach them, how to, from a biblical standpoint, how to make wiser decisions, life-changing decisions. Well, we partner with the Harbor. They attend 2 Harbor services, one on Saturday and one on Wednesday night. We also go to Celebrate Recovery, that's hosted by Harvest Church on Friday night, so they're part of that. And then again, we partner with like Samaritan's Clinic for healthcare, and in a lot of other organizations we partner with for food sharing and different things like that. So we do have a lot of great partnerships. So once they come in, they go through that class. Once they, we have basically have a schedule. So we'll help them get their driver's license. It's about 80% of our people, 80 to 85% of the people that come in our program do not have a driver's license. And so we have to work through how do we get their driver's license. A lot of them have had driver's license, but they're suspended and they owe fines and different things. So we help them work through that to get the driver's license. We help, a lot of them, we help get birth certificates and social security cards and get everything they need for employment. And then once we do that, because it'll blow your mind how many people have no documentation, no ID, no social security card, and no birth certificate. We have one guy that was from out of state, was released from prison. He couldn't leave the state, and he had no identification. And it took us about 9 months to get his birth certificate and to get him, his ID so he could get a job. We actually have one guy, took us over a year because the name on his birth certificate and the name on his social security card and his ID were different. And it was just a tremendous challenge to get him an ID. He was 59 years old, never had an ID, he'd never had a state issued ID. He had a social security card, but it didn't match his birth certificate. So it was just a weird thing. So we get some of those things, and we help, these men and women get what they need so they can be employed. So then once we do all of those things through that first 4 to 6 months, we help with employment. We teach budgeting. We have a pastor from Westgate Baptist Church comes in, and he teaches Dave Ramsey's financial piece. So we try to teach them about budgeting. And then once they get a job, we actually help them set up a budget. We try to keep them accountable on their budget. We set goals, like, paying off fines, buying vehicles, saving up for deposits for apartments or different things. So we really try to cover the totality of their needs and help them move to a place that when they leave our facility, they're not going to make unwise decisions so that they wind up where they were before. We also, we try to give them the tools that they need to be productive citizens so that they can, take care of themselves and not, find themselves back at the Ark in a year or two. So it's a very rewarding ministry. It's really cool when you see somebody and they're never going back to that lifestyle of drugs or alcohol or whatever it was that got them there. But it's also heartbreaking. A lot of times you see more potential in people than they see themselves. And so, and a lot of our people have come from really messed up situations. And so when you see what they've been through, it's a miracle that they're even here. So there's a lot of, just a lot of blessing in being a part of this ministry. So that's really kind of an overview. Do y'all have any questions or anything you might think of?
Yeah, where is the Ark located?
We're located 475 West Main in the Old Flowers Hospital. We have three.
What city?
Do what now?
What city?
In Dothan.
Dothan, okay.
475 West Main, Dothan. We have a thrift store at 419 West Main. And we have one over by the Dirt Cheap on the south side, 231. And we have one in Ozark. We have a women's center, but it's at a separate location. We don't really give that address out. All of our administrative stuff's taken care of at 475. So, but our women's facility will house about 20 ladies. I think we're at 18 right now.
Yeah. In my early days, I spent a lot of time at Flowers Hospital. I used to work in emergency departments and critical care. So I'm familiar with the building. How much of that facility do you occupy?
We occupy about a third. So the newest building in the front on West Main, we occupy the first 2 floors, and we're actually working on renovating the 3rd floor. We're in the process of building out about 30 apartments up there. So it would be another transitional step for our men. And then the 2 back buildings, we don't really use those. They're going to need a lot of work to get back up to where they need to be. But our goal is to develop at least one of those buildings into transitional apartments, maybe for females. And we'd like to have a facility for some families. So we you know, it's we've got some big plans. And if y'all would ever want to come by and let me take you through and walk through, we'd love to do that. Let you see kind of what we're what's going on.
Early in the morning, I'm taking my son to work, and we see the same people walking, and usually they're walking west. Are they going to that plasma place to give blood, or
Oh yeah,
where are they headed?
I don't know. I'm not sure who you're talking about, but there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that sell plasma. But we were talking about this. I was talking with Kentuck and Cody over at the harbor. And a lot of people. There's a lot of people that we see a lot of people walking down the street, and we say, well, we assume they may be homeless or something like that. But a lot of the people that you see walking down the street, a great majority of them are not actually homeless. They're actually just living in extreme poverty. And so a lot of people that we see and we may think they're homeless, they're actually just living they actually have a home. Now it's not you wouldn't want to live there, but it is a home. And then a lot of our homeless, we really don't see them like we think we do. But our homeless population, I think the last count was actually going down, which was a good thing. So I haven't gotten the latest stats on that, but there's a lot of needs in our city for sure.
Do you take in women that have been involved in sex trafficking?
Well, I'll be honest with you. A lot of our women have been involved in sex trafficking, or they, prostituted themselves for drugs. So there is a lot of that goes on. We're not particularly, we have had women, that we've had ladies that have been referred from other organizations to us that have been rescued from sex trafficking. We really don't, we're willing to help anybody, regardless of their situation, but a high majority of the women that have come through have been through, either sexual trauma or, prostitution. There's a lot. I mean, it's really sad, but going back to some of those stories, you would not believe how many of our ladies and even some of our men who have been, pimped out. I guess that's the best way to say it. We understand that have been sold for drugs by their parents. And so their parents would sell them so they could get drugs. And so we see that a lot. So we see a lot of abuse. A lot of these men and women are coming from abusive situations, and a lot of heartbreaking stories, that I could tell you, but that's what makes, when you see somebody's life change and they overcome all of that adversity, it makes it so much greater. Because when we help somebody at the Ark, one of the cool things about what we do is, we're not just helping that individual, we're helping that individual for generations. I mean, we're not just impacting this one person, we're impacting his mom and dad that maybe have been, praying that they, their child will get off drugs. We're helping their children that maybe they haven't been a good parent to, or they've been separated from, their brothers and their sisters that have been worried about them all this time. So when we help people, at the Ark, it's not just that individual, it's a larger group than that. So it's
Are there
very
organizations,
important.
are there organizations like yours across Alabama that you're aware of?
Yes, there are. And we are, there are a couple of organizations that we're a part of. It's we're a part of the Alabama Rescue Mission Association. And then we're also a part of the Alabama Christian Recovery Ministries. So there are organizations like the Foundry, Love Lady, that some of the bigger ones in the state I actually serve on that Akron board, and it's just a group of ministries just like us all across the state. They've got one in Geneva that just started. They've got one in Op that it's been going for a long time. Enterprise has the Christian mission there, and Enterprise has a program similar to ours. So there are many, probably 2,000 beds across the state with programs very similar to ours. And we go to quarterly meetings, and we kind of sharpen each other and share, and we have training and different things.
Well, the reason I said I did coaching and counseling for the Denver Rescue Mission before I moved here 2 years ago.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I don't, is there anything in Fairhope area that you're aware of?
In around Mobile?
Fairhope, I'm in Fairhope, Eastern Shore of the Bay. Do you know?
In Alabama?
Yeah,
Around the Mobile area?
yeah.
Yeah. The Waterfront Rescue Mission is down there, I believe. They're in I believe they're in Mobile, and they do a great ministry down there. I believe that's the name, is Waterfront Rescue Mission. But they're a large organization in our state, and there are several. If you want to go to, it's accrm.org. It'll have a list of all of those, or you can email me and I can send you.
ACCRM. ACCRM.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can just put that in there or Google it, or you can send me your email and I can send you a link. But it'll give you a list of all of those organizations that are very similar.
Okay.
Do you work with any of the local jails or prisons, since you also help with people who've been incarcerated, or do they just come to you from word of mouth? How do they find you?
We do. We have several. We get a lot of referrals, and so with Akron, we're actually state certified through Akron, which is Alabama Christian Recovery Ministry, which was a very extensive process for us to be certified. We have to meet a lot of standards, and so we were certified this year. And but we work with a lot. There's a lot of particular judges, probation officers, prisons, jail, parole board will send us referrals, and so there are some that we work, I guess, more closely with than others, but we do get referrals from all over. And one of the reasons our numbers are down right now is the courts are so backed up, because of COVID. And we've got people in our program that are waiting on arraignment from a 2-year-old case. And so, we expect there will be a flood at some point when they start catching these cases up, and they're, mandating all of these programs be worked. But until then, we're kind of enjoying it because, like I said, we're really getting some good candidates.
Yeah, it's nice. Do you require that they take ongoing drug tests on a regular basis, since you deal with so many who are addicted?
We do. We do random drug tests, and we'll do random. If there's a suspicion, we'll do a search, but we also have Houston County or Dothan City. They will come in with their K9s and they will go through the facility. And that's a pretty big deterrent, when they see all the dogs go through. So we try to, in our field, one of the challenges is keeping drugs out. And we overall do a pretty good job of that. Sometimes you're not going to stop at 100% of the time, but I think we do a really good job of providing a safe environment, because there's nothing that makes me more angry than somebody bringing drugs or alcohol into our facility. Because if they want to do it, they can do it, but just do it, don't come here, don't bring it and tempt somebody else. We want to, if that's your choice, you go do it somewhere else, but don't bring it in to our facility. So we do a pretty good job.
Do you have a 3 strikes and you're out policy for your residents?
Well, it depends. We're pretty strict on the drugs and alcohol. One of the things I've learned through the years is generally people that fail a drug or alcohol test that we've given multiple opportunities, they don't finish. I think in 6 years, we may have had one person that finished the program that we made an exception for, but we're pretty strict on the drugs and alcohol. The other things, we're obviously pretty strict on any kind of violence. We don't put up with any kind of violence or threats of violence. But you got to remember, we've got, 25, 30 different individuals that come from 25 or 30 different situations, and they all got problems. And so there's going to be some issues that we have to deal with. And so we just try to apply grace where we can and try to, love on people. But ultimately they got to do the right thing if they're going to stay in our program.
I just sent you a chat. I'd like you to send me that organization.
Okay, I sure will.
Thanks.
I sure will.
How could we help as a club? And Bob, as you noticed, is from Fairhope.
Yeah. Karen
is up around Auburn, and
Okay.
Anand is, we're kind of far flung in some different areas. Montgomery, we have people in Montgomery, Mobile, Fairhope, just kind of all over. We're not a localized club like you're used to.
Right.
With our current Rotary clubs. It's just a slightly different setup. So how could our club members help your organization and those that might be affiliated with you? What can we do?
There's a lot of things, I tell people, there are things as far as getting involved, we're pretty easy as far as you can be, as simple as dropping off toiletries, because we always need toiletries. A big need that we have, we provide, we're blessed. We have thrift stores, so we get a lot of clothing, and shoes and different things. But one of the things that we have a hard time with is underwear and socks. That's just one thing that, we have a church every year, that comes up and says, hey, we want to buy all your residents a present. And that, what do they want? And I said, get them underwear and socks. And so last year they were like, well, we're going to ask the residents what they want. And they said underwear and socks. So, it's just one of those things. So, it could be something as simple as that, just dropping off toiletries or underwear and socks, or, whatever, old clothes and jackets or whatever. Or, all the way up to, preparing a meal and dropping a meal off, all the way to, hey, I want to be a mentor. I want to, be able to walk with someone, invest in someone's life, and meet with them every week, take them out to eat, get to know them, and really kind of minister to their, to their situation. So, that's the cool thing about what we do, is there's a whole lot of opportunities, like Bill, he comes and he's spoke, and he, leads classes and different things. And so, it's just, it can be very, uninvolved, very simple, or very involved, and kind of anywhere in between there. So if anybody's interested, you can just, give me a call and we can discuss the various different ways to serve.
Great. That's awesome. I'm taking notes, sorry.
There you go. All right.
But thank you. Does anybody have any other questions for Jeff?
Well, just thank you for what you do. I tell you, I know exactly what you're doing, and it's tough, but it's very rewarding for the whole community.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to share with you guys. And, if there's somebody, you can refer to us as far as it needs help, we would love to help them. And so anything that, anything we can do. And another thing we do that we don't do a whole lot is like we help with clothing, and we help with furniture and appliances and that type thing. And so if you know somebody who's in great need, we can, help with those things as well. It's not our primary business, but we do a lot of that behind the scenes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jeff,
Hey,
for
thank
taking the
y'all.
time on a Tuesday evening and talking to us about those things you do to help our community and giving
Well,
us some
thank
ideas
y'all.
about how to help you.
Well, thank y'all so much. And I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, you're welcome to hang out with us for just a couple of minutes if you want, and we'll close out this meeting.
All right.
I don't have any additional business other than try to communicate with some people and bring people in. And Jeff, that's for you too. If you know anybody who'd be interested in our group, we're open and welcoming and trying to grow. And so those people that may be interested in Rotary but can't make it to regular meetings because life gets in the way, we're a great option for that. And so everybody just reach out to those and let's see if we can bring some more into the fold. Does anybody have any other questions or thoughts or anything before we close the meeting out today? I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to figure out how to find that chat.
I understand Larry's gonna be the keynote speaker next week.
Should be a chat.
He is. Y'all are going to hear his voice for the first time ever.
Okay.
Hang on just a minute. And
I got it.
let's see. I think the chat. So on your screen, if you look at the bottom, you should see a chat window or a chat option next to participants. Do you
Actually,
see
on
that?
your iPad, it's on the top where those three
Okay.
dots are.
Yeah, I've got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Karen.
I'm learning.
Okay. You're teaching us most of the time, so it is what you do, right? Well, then I am going to share my screen real quick. Maybe we'll see if I can make it work. And we will do the four-way test. Hopefully y'all can see that. And I look forward to seeing y'all in another 2 weeks. That'll be our last meeting for December for 2021. And then we will start working on 2022 in a new year. But for tonight, thank you everybody for being here. I'm glad to see your smiling faces and hope to see you soon. So if you would with me, of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? So on that note, thank you all very much. I hope you have a spectacular night and week, and I look forward to talking to you again. Jeff, thank you again so much for being part of
Thank
this.
y'all so much.
Tonight.
Thank y'all so much for the
Learned a
opportunity.
bunch. Thank you.
All right.
Bye, y'all.